Hi, good morning, and hello to everyone here on Adobe Live. My name is Jacob Phillips, and I'm going to be here today for the next 30 minutes, and we are going to be going over color profiles, or better known as color grading. I see Robert, Oliver, Keys, Sean in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I would love to get into it and kind of show you what we got going on today. And as always, all of the files that we're working on today are in the description below. So go ahead and download them either after this stream, and you can work alongside me. Let's take a look. Let me switch over here. Okay, so I have a bunch of different clips that I pulled that I wanted to color grade today. And first wanted to start out by just taking an example of a wedding that I have that I just finished editing. It was in Carmel, California. And obviously, weddings, they're usually 8 hours, 10 hours long of filming. So there's a lot of footage to go through, and there's a lot of footage to color correct and make look good. The biggest issue with cameras nowadays is, I guess compared to shooting on an iPhone compared to a higher end camera, is you want to have more flexibility in post, especially when you have more run and gun situations like what I'm doing. I'm filming weddings. There's always different challenges going on that you can't really predict while you're filming. So I want to go ahead and take a look at some color. Let me show you what it would look like without anything, just for reference. This is what we call log footage. So the camera is shooting in a flatter profile, so that way in post we can add in the color. But what that does give us is way more latitude when it comes down to, say, I forgot to bring the exposure up. This shot was really dark. You're able to go into your Lumetri color and expose properly. And so the biggest thing that I want to tackle today, because I know color grading can be overwhelming, is just taking some of the starter files that I attached and just going through my process of quickly transforming the look of them. So I'm going to just take one of these files that I have, and I'm going to go new sequence from clip, and boom. This was shot on a Panasonic camera, so a DSLR. And later in the show, we will be using the iPhone using Apple's log profile as well and color grading that. And so, like I said, the log profile really just flattens the image. If you were to do nothing to this, obviously something would look a little off. Everything looks gray. There's no color. Like if we just played with the saturation, we just brought it up. The most basic correction you could ever do if you never had any flexibility, which I don't think people oftentimes realize, is you just bring saturation up and bring the contrast up, and suddenly you have a picture that's less log-like. But instead of doing that and actually using correct LUTs, I am going to use a LUT, otherwise known as a lookup table. I have some pre-saved in my basic correction panel. And one of the things that is important to note about importing LUTs is it's really helpful to have them listed here. And you can add any one that you want in here. And all you have to do is do a quick Google search. And this is probably something that maybe takes an extra minute or so, but is all so much more worthwhile because you automatically have LUTs out of the gate. We got Oliver, Seda, Robert, Apurva. Where are you guys all tuning in from today? Let me know. And let me know if you have any questions for me as we work along this today. I'm always up for discussion. So the main LUT that I'm going to use is the Stallman LUT. And you can see it makes it real punchy, like almost a little too punchy. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my curves, and I'm just going to bring up the bottom of my curves. This is what kind of controls the black point in my footage. And if we go over here to Lumetri scopes, you can see that when I had this down, this was almost clipping down here, and these are the blacks, and you don't want that. So we're just going to bring it up just a tad. We got Albany, New York, UK. That's what I always love about Adobe Live. Everything is so worldwide, and I love that we can all just tune in on a Wednesday, whether it's the morning or night, and just get to color grading, I guess, huh? Let me know what you guys just had for dinner or what you guys just had for breakfast. Because for me, I just had a banana just now. So can't say that I'm eating too much. And so you'll see right here that I brought up the whites too, because I wanted this top range to be a little bit more full. And I mean, seriously, right out of the gate, I'm really liking the look of this, and I'm a huge fan of those sheep in the background. Maybe we just drop a sheep emoji if you're a big fan of the sheep in the background here. I'm just going to play this back and see how we like this. Yeah, I'm going to drag this, make it a little bit bigger for y'all. Since it is all about color today, it's all about how big can we see things in the screen. Keys is in Iceland. Ramiro is in Texas. Robert is in Sweden. And Apurva just finished cooking egg curry, reheating rice. Oh my goodness. It is popping off in the chat today, and I am here for it. We love to see it, guys. I'm just going to play this back one more time. Looks like I should probably play this at a little bit less resolution, because these are 4K files, and there's a little lag. But that's the great thing about color grading, is it really is about grading the frame and less about the playback. Because while you're editing, I would recommend making proxies, which I believe I mentioned in last week's episode of the weekly challenge. To do that, you just go over to your footage, and you can select it all. I usually do a list view when I'm doing this, and you can create proxies, and this will help speed up your process as well. I can't recommend this enough, especially when you're working with 4K files. It's super important. So you can have the frame size either be half, a quarter, or a full, and it'll do it in a less compressed codec than what your camera normally records in, which is really nice. So, I mean, I don't really have to do much work to this shot, which makes me really happy. I wanted to take a look and see what else that we have. I think we have a good flower shot right here that I wanted to grade. Okay. I'm going to throw that Stallman LUT again. I really like this guy. If you ever are into LUTs, I would recommend checking out Tyler Stallman. He has some good just out the gate looks that I'm always a fan of. One thing that we haven't played around yet with, and keep in mind, when we are working on multiple different clips all together, I would definitely recommend creating an adjustment layer. And so I'm going to go over here down to adjustment layer, click OK, and throw this on top. And I want to copy this effect that I just built onto here, and I'm going to do Command X to remove it, and I'm going to throw it onto the adjustment layer. That way we can work on all our clips all at the same time. And one thing I would recommend too is you then want to do local adjustments either on another adjustment layer, and you can drag them twice. Sometimes I would label them, so you could say like this is the LUT, and then make a new adjustment layer. and then say like, this is the color correction. That way things are just a little bit more organized. And like I said, these are all just good habits to have when you are a video editor dealing with a lot of different things. You want to have some organization. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Jack. Drop Stallman's bio in the chat. And they really are great looks just right out of camera. And I don't like working too hard, or I don't like working as harder than I need to. And having good LUTs on your side, trying different looks for your camera, it really goes a long way for just peace of mind and getting things the way you want. So now I have this LUT on the top, and I labeled this color correction on the bottom. Sometimes I just do local adjustments on the clip here itself, which I feel like is not the worst way to go about things, because when you have a timeline like this that has like 100-something clips, you're just kind of like, it's easier to go in individually to a clip and adjust and do adjustments. I don't know, to each their own, whatever project you're really working on. If you are working on a project with multiple people, sometimes, you know, that can play a big factor too, because you might have someone that works a certain way. So it's just kind of like whatever works. But I think understanding how different people work, so that way you can be accommodating, is probably the best way to go about it. So I'm going to take a look at here, and I kind of feel like this could pop a little bit more. I'm going to do a local adjustment, just so that way it doesn't affect everything. I'm going to bring up the saturation. I'm going to warm it up a little bit. And then I kind of want to go into creative LUTs. So I'm going to put on this clip, and honestly, we have some more that we could even throw on, which would be fun. Let's see, what else can we grab? Just gonna make them all look good, and we'll chop them down, make them look good. Okay, so let's talk about creative LUTs real quick. So basic correction, we have our input LUT. There's a new settings tab over here that also you can put your LUTs into. One of which I actually can pull this up right now. One of which is, if you go over to settings, and this is in Premiere Pro Beta, by the way. You have your input LUTs just like that you have in the regular edit tab, but you also have auto detect. And so I'm going to get to this later, but it's able to auto detect what log profile that you're on. That's really, really cool stuff that is going to become part of, you know, regular Premiere. And I think will really speed up people's workflow. So in the meantime, we got our basic LUT. This is what brings it from being gray to being good. But what I also recommend is usually adding a creative look too. Premiere has a bunch of built-in ones. I like, again, I guess I'm a big Stallman fan over here. I was gonna play around with this. You can see this makes it really airy. I think this is too much. Obviously it's at 100% right now, so just kind of bringing it halfway. You can see it just kind of makes things a little bit more blue, kind of relaxes the look and feel of things. And yeah, I'm a fan. YouTube question. In adjustment layers, can I color a certain area in a video and use another adjustment layer to color a different area? I'm trying to have more control with my colors in video. Yes, so that's what we would use masks for. And that's a really great question. And something that, you know, we deal with oftentimes when you don't have perfect lighting like this. Like this is at sunset. But say that the background was really bright. What you would want to do is make an adjustment layer like in your color correction tab, and you'd want to let's say we want to make the sky brighter because it's not bright enough, or we want to make it, I don't know. Usually this would happen when something, like I said, is overexposed, but you can click right over here by under lumen tree color. If you click this, you can make a mask, and then you can drag this around. And this works on adjustment layers. So you can do it. And like I said, this is normally for like sky and things like that. I would say you can add more points by hitting the command key. It makes more points. You can drag things around. But yeah, this is a more helpful thing. Like I said, in a bright scenario, you want to brighten up things. Let's see. And then you can add a feather to really just make that way more subtle. There we go. And then remove it. There you go. And then we can toggle this on and off. So adjustment layers. I believe that answers your question. Masks are the best way to, and they work in adjustment layers any way that you'd like. I can show you probably a good example in this wedding. I'm sure things were like bright behind. Yeah, we ended up using, like, I mean, this is a great example. Like, look how bright it is behind them. You can add a mask right around them. And, oh, that's not the right one. I'm going to bring the highlights down. And you see, because since log footage has a lot more data, so if you're shooting on an iPhone or just anything that's shooting in a standard profile, that's kind of the issue that you run into. You don't have as much flexibility. When I bring down these highlights, I mean, we're still seeing the sky. Nothing is clipping in this image, which is pretty phenomenal. But we want to keep them bright. So adding that mask, and I believe that we can just do a circle mask. I think that would actually be better. And we could invert it. So you can just put what's around them. Add feather. And I'm going to invert it. So now we got that sky. So that was a great question. I think it's really crucial to have masks when you're in environments like this. I can bring this down now, and we are seeing blue sky. We are seeing no clipping in the clouds up here, and the bride and groom are properly exposed. And so, yeah, important stuff, honestly. We got about 7 minutes left. I wanted to show, we added that creative LUT. Maybe, I mean, honestly, out of the gate, I really like the look of this stuff. Let's take a look at Premiere Beta. I wanted to show those auto log features and see what we can do here. So I have some fun Apple log. And what do I want to do? And these are in the starter files, by the way. What I want to do is import them. So I'm going to select with the command. I'm going to select these, and I'm going to hit new sequence from clip. That creates a sequence. And by the way, I did switch to vertical, and that was by just clicking over here. And you have a little vertical tab. Super helpful for color grading vertical video. Once I imported this, you'll notice that it automatically detected that it was Apple log Rec 709. And so that's a game changer, because in the regular Premiere, that was something that we had to add. And if you're working with different cameras in a project, it can get really overwhelming being like, okay, well, this was the Panasonic. Oh, we shot this one with the iPhone. Oh, and then this is the Sony over here, and mix and matching. And in Premiere Pro Beta, it's auto detected. And you can work on a look from there. So I'm going to make a new adjustment. I'm going to add a creative look because that's what I like to do. Just the exposure. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's play around with this look. See if we got any good looks that we want. I can tell this is still pretty desaturated, so I'm just going to add some blue. Boom. Oh, yeah, let's take a look at this. This is great. The fact that this was shot on an iPhone is like pretty incredible. I mean, I'm going to play this back right now. And since this is in ProRes, Apple forces you to record in their codec, Apple ProRes, when you shoot in log. But I mean, it's night and day that this, I mean, it no longer looks like an iPhone, which is pretty incredible. I shot this like at a sunset. This is with the telephoto lens. Let's just add some saturation real quick. Maybe bring up the exposure. I mean, there's just so much more latitude shooting in log. And the fact that Premiere's auto detecting this is pretty freaking cool. Oh, and I shot this at the beach, but I did shoot it 16:9. So I'm going to just go, since I do kind of just want to have this composition all together, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go right here. Ooh, or should we go over here? This is at a beautiful beach. Bonnie Doon. I'm going to go back to Lumetri Color, and I want to spice this up a little bit. I'm going to add some more saturation. Oh my gosh. Add some contrast. Wow. So fresh, so clean. Let's see if we can play around with any more creative LUTs. And so, yeah, it really just comes down to trial and error in here, doing what you want, trying different looks till you see it, but just understanding the basics, and understanding that sometimes it's hard to get a look straight out of camera, and finding the right LUTs to download, to test out. Every camera is a little bit different. I haven't even mastered Apple Log yet. It's something that I'm still like really trying to perfect how I want things to look. You know, like this looks still a little bit too like moody. Bring this up, bring the saturation up a bit. Yeah. And yeah, it's really just coming down to like your personal tastes and what you want. Be sure to drop any last minute questions as we wrap up right now, but I'm going to see if there's any in the chat real quick. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just checking the chat to see if there's any other questions. Someone did mention ProRes, so that is what Apple's default is when you are shooting in a flat picture profile like this, which is important to note because the file sizes can be huge, but they store a lot of data and you have a lot more latitude. And I mean, honestly, I'm not going to lie, this doesn't look like an iPhone. And so it's pretty mind-blowing how much more, having more data, how that can really help, you know, a situation and make things look better. So, yeah. Other than that, I think we're going to wrap up. Up next, we have more color grading with James. And so he's going to be doing an even more deep dive. So consider this a action-packed hour of different color grading, which is really exciting because it's, like I said, it's endless, the possibilities with color grading. And it's just a matter of finding a look that works with, you know, the camera that you have and things like that. And so thank you all for tuning in today. I'll be back next week for another lesson. And so we'll be back, and take care, y'all.